And good evening, Concord and Concord residents and world and our wonderful board of directors. Look at this shot here. It's like security camera footage. Hi, everybody. I'm ConcordTV Executive Director Josh Hardy, and it's May. It's early May, and as you know, we are doing ConcordTV's budget presentation. We need the ConcordTV board to approve the fiscal year budget for 23-24 that we then send to the city of Concord so that they know how we plan on spending and saving, hopefully too. So first off, there's a lot of maybe new faces to some of the community members. So let's go around and we are going to start with, over on this side, introducing our board members. So.
Thank you, Josh.
Yep.
I'm Rachel Perry.
Hi, I'm Steve Ambra.
Hi, I'm Clint Cogswell.
Hello, I'm Robert Altman.
Good evening, I'm Melissa Fisk.
And you've got your own microphone.
Oh, here I go.
And I am Dan Rich.
Okay, and that is our board of directors. Not with us tonight is Tanya Rochette, and that is our ConcordTV board of directors. So with that, let's get into the numbers. I'm stealing that from NPR, I think. Let's do the numbers, right? So first, looking at ConcordTV's budget, sort of just to remind you of the structure we have. We sort of have columns to remind you of the structure. We have our actual revenue and expenditures from 2020 and 21, and then 21-22, and then what we budgeted last year for this current fiscal year, which I have through April 30th of this year of what's actually been reconciled. So it's a pretty accurate snapshot of really where we stand at this point. And the key figures that I would like to point out to the board and point out to the public is the cable franchise fees, which is line 4,000. That is always historically for ConcordTV and for community media the biggest source of revenue. The city has committed that they will commit $260,000, which we receive quarterly. And there's some details being finalized on some of the sorry, I just saw Mike run out. That there are, we receive it quarterly. I lost my train of thought there. It's not one lump sum. So we receive quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four, split into 4 sections, which also organizationally, like, it sort of encourages you to not just spend it all in one, but we're pretty fiscally responsible too. Some of the other line items include underwriting income, contributions, grants. We also have significant what we're calling program fees, and the theory with that and the reason it's budgeted for $5,000 under column G for this year's proposed is that the Concord School District will be paying us that amount for us taking over school board meetings, which historically had been their responsibility to staff it. Now we're the ones staffing it. Our class and workshop fees, which in this current year, we've done phenomenal. We've gone over what I expected, over $2,000. So I plan we're going to keep that up. And we're looking at my proposed total revenues of $347,000. There is a line in there that may be a little bit on the optimistic, not aggressive, but optimistic side, which would be really the contributions line at 11.5 is and that's line 4030, contributions income. That for us to have a balanced budget, that's what we're going to try to hit. So stay tuned. We'll have probably no big fundraising event, but definitely some things like New Hampshire Gives and some ways that we're going to try to hit that number. But that is something that that money doesn't just fall into your lap. You have to actively, reach out to your donors and find new contributors and all of those things. So that is what I have for revenues. Do we have any questions about revenues, a line that either doesn't make sense to the board or think the community would want to know more about? Make sense? Okay. All right. For folks at home too, just a quick snapshot. The cable franchise fees, I glossed over the definition, but that is a portion of the revenue that Comcast pays to the city of Concord, the cable franchise fee. And Breezeline is soon, they're now operating in Concord, and in the upcoming weeks, so an update for our board as well, in the upcoming weeks we have been told the Breezeline channels will be active. But the cable franchise fees are just going to be a lump $260,000, regardless of whether it's from Breezeline or Comcast, if that makes sense. But you now have competition for cable companies, so everyone can choose what they want. Okay, so I think, Mike, we're ready for expenses. And just to try to make it somewhat readable, legible, I've split expenses into a part 1 and a part 2. Still not the most TV friendly, so hopefully folks watching can see this, and if not, they can let us know. So the big expenses that I'm looking at for this year, at least on part 1, is, a couple of the big things are the Telview line items, which for folks who don't know, Telview is the company that provides our broadcast server. So how do we actually get our signal to Comcast, to Breezeline, and even our online streaming, because we stream on the website 24/7 as well on yourconquertv.org. So those services are pretty expensive, but they're necessary. So that's when you see the line that says Telview streaming, when you see the line that says Telview support, we need those things. That's mission critical. And then some other line items like our marketing, line 5,000, dues and subscriptions, the 50/40 line, are, kind of mosquito bite expenses that you sort of accumulate, but they're not significant chunks either. And then health insurance is one I would point out, that we provide health insurance to our full-time employees, and dental coverage as well. And it doesn't look like the premiums are jumping too much. I've bumped it up a tiny bit, but it looks like premiums are going to hold with a minuscule increase. And we're not looking at obviously taking coverage away or adding significant coverage, and honestly not looking to add a 4th full-time person, so it will still be 3 employees on the plan. And for those at home wondering, we are 3 full-time with a handful of part-time support staff, but really for it's about 4 full-time equivalents. Our part-timers make up about 1 full-time in terms of hours and total pay. Let's see, looking at I think, Mike, we're ready for expense line number 2. This is the fun part. And because of our total expenses, our payroll expenses are easily the highest amount that we have. Business insurance is also up there, which I've put at $12,500. Could bump it up to $13,000, but I think $12,500 is what we're going to stick at. In bold that I put was a completely brand new line item, the apparel at $5,800, and that was based on just sort of talking about, well, should a branded, Concord TV branded, pens or flash drives, should those count as supplies, or are those kind of part of but they're also not marketing, they're kind of their own unique thing. So if we end up getting camp t-shirts for the summer camp kids, that's apparel. If we get branded flash drives, if we got branded combs, those would be, the branded combs were donated, by the way, if anyone's seen those. Tanya had asked about that at an event, so those were donated. But if we, like the Concord TV pens have been helpful, those would fit more in an apparel instead of just tossing it into supplies and saying, oh, these are supplies. It gives everyone a better idea of what type of item it actually is. And then, the elephant in the room, payroll, the kind of based on previous conversations, we are looking to make sure that our staff are paid adequately and competitively with other media organizations, certainly in the nonprofit sector. So we are looking at, compared to last year's budgeted of $200,000, $218,000, which is a pretty significant jump up. But I believe I can keep it to that, and also, make sure our staff knows that they're appreciated and that they're being adequately compensated. So my proposed amount is $218,000 compared to $200,000 budgeted last year, which we're on track to hit $200,000. And then in previous years, $195,000, $189,000. So it's a steeper increase than what we've seen in previous years. And then I am proposing $2,000 for scholarships. We're going to be giving out $1,500 in youth scholarships to 2 Concord Regional Tech Center and Concord High School students. So we're excited about that. And I'm hoping, Steve, I had told you before that, I'm hoping we can give more scholarship money out next year, and that if it keeps building, maybe we find a sponsor that helps us raise more money for scholarships. So I totally would rely on the board for some guidance, and but the scholarship is sort of that like feel good. So if we could even do more than 2,000 in fiscal year 24, 25, hard to believe I'd be talking about that, but I'd like to see that number keep going up, ideally. Okay, are there questions about that second part of expenses, particularly with payroll, health insurance, those types of things? No, we're good. We're doing great then. Okay, well then, we don't need a drum roll, but we'll go to page number 4. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Let's say that on record too on camera. Mike is in the background. He said it was annoying when I frequently, I told Rachel this too, I always call out the director as if I'm like hosting like a sports radio show, that I'm like interacting with the director in the background. But Mike is running all of this tonight, and I appreciate that because he has a lot else to do. So this last line, to sum it up, we're looking at least from the proposed budget, that I would be looking to pretty much break even. That is as close to a zeroed out budget that you could possibly have. That would be very impressive, but that's what we're aiming for. To remind folks at home, they kind of would see, well, what's with this negative, you see in parentheses, 52,500. The Comcast equipment grant we receive has to go in a specific equipment reserve fund. It has to be paid for, it can't be used for paying for health insurance and payroll and things like that. So even though we count that money coming in, we have to kind of take that out when we're looking at our net revenue. Certainly that money gets used for equipment that goes in, those become assets for us that show up on a balance sheet, but not for the sake of what our net revenue is looking like. And for the actual revenues and expenditures, we're showing a negative 23,000 because the Q4 of the franchise fees installments has not come in yet, which is pretty typical for this time of year in the spring. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I have. We're looking at a balanced budget. If we ended up running, 1,000, 2,000 in the negatives when all is said and done next year, we have plenty of reserve cash on hand, so a small loss isn't a big deal. I think in the long term, I think just the organization has to think about, if you were going to keep increasing payroll at such a clip, you have to find significant other revenue sources. So that's just something where I don't have the solution or answer to that, but that is something that would then become more of a discussion next May, and then would become more of a discussion the May after that, and you see where I'm going with that. So just for the board to consider, but I am really happy with what we've put together here. So any thoughts or questions or something that I forgot to mention? Someone must have something. Really? We're good. Okay.
Oh, no, I actually, yes, I have okay.
I remembered. Mike didn't have to yell at me.
Just a quick comment. I'm very happy about the increased payroll expenses because I think it's warranted. You would see a hit, should you lose anybody. So I think that it's a good investment in your people.
Thanks, Melissa. Yeah, we're lucky we have been able to maintain a consistent group of our staff. We've been able to add on, a couple part-timers here and there to fit different needs, whether it's event coverage, meeting coverage. Adding someone part-time to help with our summer camps was like one of the best decisions we ever made. She's a teacher during the year and then she does summer camp with us. That was one of the best things we ever did. So yeah, my predecessor always said, Doris Ballard always said, the best investment is in your staff, and it's in a good staff. And we have a team. I was just saying to Mike earlier this afternoon, we get a lot done, and we do it because of our staff, and our staff who then train volunteers and work with students and work with community members. So it's really a good vibe that we have going on right now. So thanks, Melissa, for that note. Anybody else? Otherwise, I would be asking the board to vote to approve the fiscal year 2023-2024 proposed budget.
Do you need a motion or is that your motion?
I can't make I'm not a board
yeah,
member,
I
so
suppose.
yeah.
Did somebody make a motion?
Motion to accept.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, everyone. For the sake of the live stream, live recording, I don't believe we have any other business for tonight. So I would just want to thank everyone for tuning in. I think we set a record this year, but certainly if anyone has any questions about our funding structure, have questions about what community television is, we want to be as transparent as possible. So you can always reach out to my email address, josh@yourconcordtv.org, our website, yourconcordtv.org, and our social media. I don't know if you guys noticed, our social media presence has gotten so much stronger. Our e-newsletter, our Facebook, Instagram. So if you just look at that, you'll get a snapshot of who we are and what we do and our purpose. So
And if you'd like to join our incredible board,
thank you, Melissa. Yes, yes. More board members are always welcome. You can reach out to me or Melissa. If you send your resume to me, I make sure that gets to the rest of the board. And we'd love to have you join the team. Mike, can we get like the wide shot again so we see everyone? The like security camera angle? Yeah, see, there we are. See, there's everyone. So you could be part of this. Join this group. Then you're stuck with me for every May for 15 minutes. So with that, I think we're gonna wrap it up. And so thank you, board members. Thank you for everyone watching. And you'll see a lot more from us soon. So have a good night. Thanks, everyone. Go Celtics.